Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Look, we have to follow up on what Tom Rothman has been saying in multiple places, most importantly over on the podcast run by Puck Media. And I'm going to tell you that the town is going to become something that people will pay attention to. Sony CEO Tom Rothman has been saying a lot over there, and it's worth discussing, especially when it comes to Disney's forced MCU strategy and how that's actually damaged the product. So, here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I'm here trying to get to 50K, and I'm doing that because you guys are sharing the videos, liking the videos, commenting on the videos, and then watching another one of my videos. If you keep doing that, I would truly appreciate it. But if you look down there and you notice that the little subscribe button is red, click on it and turn it gray to subscribed. Then hit the bell icon and turn on all notifications, and we'll be right as rain. And go ahead and hit the thumbs up button while you're down there. Let's get to it. Let's talk about the story coming out of Cosmic Book News with Matt McGloin reporting just on kind of the same track he's been going on for a while. In fact, if you're interested, I did a video about why Superman sucked and why its box office performance was so bad. Just go ahead and click on it up there. Anyway, let's get to it. Sony CEO says Disney forced MCU strategy. No worries for Avengers. Scoop confirmed. This is something that he's been reporting on for quite a while, including after being at Comic-Con and overhearing some things, along with insiders at Comic-Con also overhearing things. So the MCU's problems have basically been pinned on Kevin Feige for years, but that might not be the full story. After overhearing a heated exchange between former Marvel executive and a prominent Hollywood VFX artist, both were in agreement that Disney corporate is to blame for the MCU's decline. The conversation was intense, and while I didn't catch every word, the message was clear. They backed comments from James Gunn suggesting that Disney leadership pushed mandates that hurt the brand. The frustration wasn't aimed at Marvel's internal team, it was directed squarely at Disney. And look, for as much as we've heard Marvel boss Kevin Feige talk about, making the female frame the focus in Marvel and making them the majority of the characters, it's really maybe not his plan. Maybe it was driven down from the top. A lot of things have been, which is why everything in the Disney side of the equation has been failing. It doesn't matter what studio it is or even the theme parks. They're starting to go into a major decline. So back to the story. Tom Rothman defends Kevin Feige, saying that, he's echoing a similar sentiment. Appearing on The Town with Matt Bellany on YouTube, Rothman made it clear that he still has full confidence in Kevin Feige, whom he met while at Fox on the X-Men movies while Feige was an assistant. Never bet against Kevin Feige. He knows what he's doing. Rothman continues by confirming that Marvel is undergoing a course correction, something I also first told you during his reporting on the Daredevil Born Again as it's being rebooted. All of what Matt's been saying has been pretty much confirmed over the course of the last few weeks, and it's why it's very easy to report on his stuff over at Cosmic Book News. So, if you're questioning whether or not he's getting good information, just compare it to the same kind of accuracy rating that we have from Daniel RPK and others. So they've definitely had to figure things out over at Marvel, and they still may not have done so by the time we get Doomsday, at least in my opinion. So back to the story here. Certainly, they've changed in course correction, less television. I think it was really the television and the elaborateness of what interconnection that made you have to be so inside or else you felt excluded. They created such a overly engaged audience that it led to people separating themselves from the franchise. Rothman then dropped a key detail that was a mandate that he was given by a prior administration at Disney. And he's a good corporate soldier, so he did what he was asked to do. That lines up with what I was told. The explosion of Disney Plus shows and heavy interconnectivity across film and television wasn't necessarily Feige's creative choice. It came from above. And this is in line with what WDW Pro has talked about, and even Valiant Renegade, and to some extent myself, in that Disney was forcing so much product down the audience's throat that they wanted you to feel like you were missing out, the fear of missing out, FOMO. And that did work for a short period of time when things were good. But when you are replacing basically fan favorite characters with very inferior replacements, the audience isn't quite as excited for what you have to give. And I think that's going to hurt Doomsday going forward, but I think Tom Rothman may have a different opinion. Getting back into the story, according to Rothman, Disney handed down the mandate. Marvel followed it, and Kevin Feige executed the plan as instructed, possibly even if there were concerns about how it would all play out. Since then, reports say Feige has fired producers tied to the MCU's underperforming shows and films, signaling a clear shift in direction, which is a good thing. At least I think so. So with mandates in place, you have to wonder, where did those mandates come from? I think they came from the very top. I think you could easily point fingers at Iger and the people that were kind of pushing the buttons with the stories group and everything else, because everybody has to listen to these intercultural voices that really seem rather heck bent on destruction. At least that's my opinion. Maybe yours is different. Let me know. Now, Disney's mandates hurt the MCU, but no worries for the Avengers. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with this, but we'll see. Phase 4 and Phase Dive, or Phase Bore and Phase Dive, saw the MCU expand rapidly onto Disney Minus. Characters introduced in streaming services became required viewing for theatrical films. With the content in question, casual fans felt lost. Longtime fans felt alienated, and VFX teams were spread thin or stretched thin. Production timelines tightened, and according to Rothman, that strategy came from Disney's previous leadership. Feige executed the plan because that's what corporate wanted. Now Marvel Studios is scaling back. Less will be more, Rothman added. Have no worries for the Avengers, guys. Now, I don't agree with his reasoning. And there's a lot of reasons why. Because that's not the only reason why they were having failures. It wasn't because they were pressing too much material. It was because they were pressing too much politics and a realignment of ideology from the original comic creations to something that, well, isn't very popular when you get to the comics these days. Or when you reach back and you fundamentally change major characters, not just doing racial swaps, but perhaps even gender swaps. There are a lot of fans that just walk away from shows like that, and I've done recently, right up here, if you take a look, a video about Wonderman and its catastrophic failure. That failed for a lot of reasons. It's an unknown character, for number one. And number two, it's substantially changed character in almost every way. It bears no resemblance to the existing Wonder Man character in the comics, although it's now being rebooted in this same perverted way. And that's kind of my opinion here. The Marvel product has been perverted by ideology and the people forcing that into the product. I don't know, maybe you think the same, but I do want to know what you think when it comes to whether or not this is, well, good or bad news for Doomsday. Personally, I don't think I see any change in the direction that Doomsday is going to head. How about you? Do you think Doomsday is going to be a success based on a small pivot of direction and not a major realignment by getting away from the political nonsense that forces a lot of unpopular things into the narrative line? Or do you think that it was more about the strategy to release more on Disney Minus, which to its end basically failed to advance a bunch of characters into a potential future in the cinema? We already saw the results of the 3 failed films in the last year in 2025. None of them actually ever achieved profitability, and I don't think we'll ever know just how truly badly Fantastic Four failed, but we know for a fact that the new Avengers, or whatever you want to call that particular team, or that Captain Falcon just really didn't perform in a way that would encourage you to continue to develop those characters. Nothing in there was compelling. And again, It's always the tail of the tape. Did you make money? Anyway, if you disagree with these thoughts, let me know in the comments section below. I just wanted to make this one a quick and a short video. Hopefully I did so. And I want to say thank you for your continued support. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just not watching Disney minus. Not at all. When injustice strikes, I strike back.